We had an assessment of the local action plans from HEN, which I think gave us all, I would hope anyway, although it was a very brief overview of the local action plans, it should give us a guide to the fact that we were on the right track, but there's still room for improvement, as there always will be. Some of us were at higher levels of development, others not so high in some areas. But basically, we did quite well in most areas on those local action plans. We had a discussion yesterday that started about 10 top tips, and that got a little bit disjointed at the end of the day, as I have to say, I'm afraid I left the note of the paper where they were all written on the bus, which is why Hen and I got together just after lunch and put together what we could remember. Today we've had a very detailed description from Clem about the reasons for the repair project, where it came from, why it exists, what we've been doing throughout it. And it was a good thing for us to sort of focus on as members of the project. But I would think that people that were here for the first time, not previously involved in it, would get a very good understanding of the amount of work that's been done throughout the last 3 years. It is almost 3 years since we met in Berlin and selected the implementation partners to make up the group to 11 originally, including Thessaloniki, but Thessaloniki dropped out of the project. But July the 9th, I think it was, we met in Berlin, and I think I may have mentioned it yesterday, but it was exactly a year ago today that we were all in Opava in the Czech Republic discussing the pilot regeneration actions and making the selection of the 2 cities that went forward in that process. And that leads me on to today. Sorry. Leads me back to today. Because earlier on, Hen again went through very rapidly through the pilot regeneration action process, and I think it was good to hear. But it will be a lot better when you actually read the reports. The implementation report is published on the website now. It gives a very detailed. It is a very detailed process, and you can see very clearly the amount of work that went into that. And I think we're all very pleased with the outcome of that project, that part of the project. And it's something, of course, which goes on because the work hasn't finished yet. Neither Florence or Paola have completed the work they want to complete, so they have the opportunity to do so. Liz, you gave us a very swift run through on those policy recommendations, and I really appreciate how much information you actually got across to us. I hope everyone would agree on that, in a very speedy presentation. It was very clear. Thank you for that. And there was quite a bit of effort in the process. It's very gratefully received. Finally, we've just heard from Jean-Loup recently. Jean-Loup gave us quite a good response, I think, to our request for comments about the policy recommendations. Obviously, he's not in a position to respond directly since he's only just really heard them, but I think he gave us some pretty clear guidance as to what we should now go and do immediately, most of which we were going to do, but it's been quite clear. And we've just heard some very good first-hand experience from our friend Mr. Svarog, and that was interesting because I don't think we actually did think about using the military in our local support group. Whether that was just whether it was an oversight or a complete lack of sort of thought about it, we could, because we've got plenty of military representation still in Medway with the Royal Engineers present and other bodies which are still in the neighbourhood. And I think it's a good point that we could be using discipline that we're not at the moment, which could well add a lot to the local support group. And the 4 pillars presentations, that was something where those were the 4 pillars were what I have referred to as principles of the repair project that we've leaned on. We've studied the conservation, energy, transport and local jobs for local people. And the purpose today was to bring those 4 presentations together as examples of the representation of those pillars, and it came across with the cross-cutting element. The point is really that not one of those pillars acts in its own environment. They are interlinked and will always be so. So thanks to Malcolm for wherever he is, Malcolm for coordinating that. And I think now it's time for me to, unfortunately, I'm actually dragging this out now because I don't want to say goodbye. But Councillor Chitty, I know, wants... Clem, did you want to say something?
Well, yes, I did.
Yeah, because Councillor Chitty... Yeah, I know Councillor Chitty would like to say something to everyone, so I'm going to call it a day now and probably carry on this evening. Thanks very much for all your efforts and appreciate it.
No. Not at all, not at all. I did particularly ask Vince if he would allow me just a few minutes, because if we finish this without paying tribute to the work that you have done, we would be very much remiss. I know, Vince, you have been completely absorbed and committed to this project and worked very hard, and my thanks to you particularly for keeping me so well informed, and I think you probably have used a whole tree up in keeping me fully informed through email, of which I always get a copy. But to all of you, you are professional in your fields, but you have dedicated so much time and energy, but more importantly, real commitment to achieving the outcomes that have been so much a part of this process. It has been an absolute privilege being able to work with you, and for the information that you have given us over the period of this project. And so I think you should be justifiably extremely proud of yourselves for what you have brought to this project and how you have actually made it a great success. Hen, we often meet, usually in a restaurant, sometimes very rarely with a glass of wine. Yes? Oh, indeed, yes, we share that particular vice, don't we? But thank you for your commitment and for the good-humoured way in which you have conducted the business that we all have a passion for. So my personal thanks to you. But I couldn't possibly hand the microphone back unless I thank the Mayor and his team, particularly his lovely ladies. I think that it shows political great sense, choosing charming young ladies actually to promote the emphasis of your town, how friendly it is, how willing it is to be part of the wider community. And I congratulate them, but I particularly congratulate you. Thank you for what you have brought to this closing conference. It means a great deal. And I'm sure I say it on behalf of everybody, thank you. It comes from the heart, and we feel very privileged to have been here. So, Clem, have I left anything out? I know, you see, Clem is my right-hand man. Clem always puts me on a path where I know precisely what I'm doing, and he's quite brave, so... Right, well, this could turn out to be quite an epic, so I'll hand it back directly to you. But thank you all very much indeed. Thank you.
Thanks, Jane. I would be yes, I saw. I'll get to Peter in a second. I would be remiss if I hadn't mentioned that I'm sure that everyone here is thinking this, but it is a shame that the lady that started the project, Mariana Harstad, who was here at the very beginning with Medway, if we didn't mention that she put in a great deal of work on this project from the very start, and I wouldn't be here talking to you now if it hadn't been for her in the first place. So I do want to credit Mariana's input, and I'm sure that I did actually ask her if there was any way that she could to be here, but she has other directions that she's going in. So if I may, on your behalf, send her your good wishes when we see her next. But she's certainly in our thoughts. And
Peter? On behalf of all the partners, some of our partners were already in the Ascent project and now in the repair project. I'd like to thank the lead partner. I came into my job in 2006 at Ascent project at that time. Councillor Tichy was already there. Joanne Cable was at that time. Marianne took over, created this new project, repair. Vincent took over. And lead partner is always a difficult job. Always waiting for the invoices, always waiting for the content, always waiting for everything, well, really. But I never lost that temper. So I like to thank the lead partner for the Ascent period, the repair period, and maybe in the future.
thank you.
But there's one, before I forget, there's one very important message that the bus tonight to Avrig will be at 7:30 at the hotel. So you have some 2 hours to relax a bit. Sorry. Sorry. Okay, in then this has not been this has not been said.
Thank you. Can I just, first of all, echo people's thank yous to our wonderful hosts who have welcomed us so beautifully to Sibiu and to Avrig. Thank you very much. Thank you to all participants, particularly a personal thank you to Vince for picking up the baton when Mariana left, and for his sterling work in making this conference a success, and in seeing it through successfully from start to finish, and all the work that he's done behind the scenes. We are extremely grateful for that. So a personal thanks to Vince for that. And finally, a note for the future. I was able to have a good conversation with Jean-Louis Drubini from the URBAC Secretariat earlier on, and he did echo this, his conviction that we should be trying to disseminate the results of our project. Now, in terms of that, and our ability to input into the new structural fund regulations, his view is that it would be really good if we could arrange some kind of meeting in September where we could invite other URBAC projects to attend that meeting, and that there would be a dialogue between URBAC projects and representatives of the European Commission in order to get the messages across as to the successes of URBAC. He emphasised that it wasn't the role of the URBAC Secretariat to do that. I think we should, in response to that, take up the challenge of doing that ourselves, and for repair to be at the lead of that initiative. And that's what I would like to propose as the next step in our journey together.
Then a final word. Dear guests, dear friends, there are some other points on the agenda. I would like to see all of you again later on the dinner in the Bruckenthal Gardens, particularly our guests, and wish you a nice city tour now and an enjoyable evening. Thank you very much for being in Avrig and Sibiu, and we will remember this event for a long time. Thank you.